On the program today, Bucks building something special, win fourth in a row against a top team in the West. Bucks come up big in crunch time. It's a statement game. We're going to break that one down. The national media hating on the Milwaukee Bucks. Shocking. We're going to break that down. And also Giannis not in the top 10 for MVP. What? Yeah, right. We're going to break that down. Let's get started.
Lillard, step back three, on the way. Got it! Damian Lillard, welcome to the Cream City. Game time has arrived.
You're listening to the Milwaukee Bucks Beat, sponsored by Hungry Lion Productions Video Production Services. Video production from start to finish. Hire them today at hungrylionproductions.com. And now, here's your host, Michael Edwards.
Welcome to the Bucks Beat. I'm your host, Michael Edwards. And our Milwaukee Bucks are doing what they do. They're doing the things that we thought they were going to do at the beginning of the season. It took a little bit to get going, but wow. But yeah, I'm pounding my chest after that game last night. Bucks Mavericks, what a game. I mean, this was a full team win. Before I get into any of the stats, no Chris Middleton, no Jay Crowder, no Marjan. In this one, the Bucks beat the Dallas Mavericks 132-125. Giannis with 40 points, 18 for 26 from the field. He grabbed 15 rebounds. And Dame, 27 points, 12 assists. Bucks go on a 16-4 run to win this one. Two big shots by Pat Connaughton. He did the old catch high, shoot high. There's not too many players in the league who can do that. He didn't hit one, he hit two from the corner, and they both were needed desperately. This was a game. Coach talks about the win.
You know, we're building something special. You know, you could feel it. The crowd was into it. I think they really carried us. We started to make our comeback, and the energy from the fans was terrific.
In a sense, I feel like the Bucks kind of stole this one. Coming out of the second half, the Mavs just took control, and the Bucks couldn't hit a shot to save their life. So as a fan, I'm really proud to see the effort that they put out there in the fourth quarter. Coach Griffin talks about the fourth quarter play of the Bucks.
I think this is what, the fans wanted. It's just seeing Dame and Giannis just so elite at the end of the game. And, your fourth quarter got to be your best quarter, especially when you're playing a terrific team like Dallas. I mean, well coached, got superior players out there. So this was huge, especially getting down and finding a way to come back and win that game was, this is terrific.
Terrific's an understatement, really. If I'm being honest, I thought, okay, second night of a back-to-back, Bucks playing the Mavericks. Okay, it's at home, that's cool, but man, that's a really tall order. And the fact that they won this one, I mean, really, really impressive. Big win against a very good opponent. We got some more on this game from Brook Lopez.
It was just a total team effort. It started with a point of attack with our guards, guarding them, obviously, and then those guys knowing, just to give their best effort, put all their energy into that, and trust that guys like Giannis and Pat and everyone else was going to be behind them. And
they were. And this was the most, so far to this date, what are we at here? November 19th. This is the most gratifying win of the season by far. Some teams we want to beat are on the horizon too, coming up this week. We'll get to that later in the program, of course. But you want to see the Bucks playing well right now. And man, they are. Each game they've improved. Dame kind of talks about their start and where they are now.
To start the season, we had some adversity. We had some ugly outings in the preseason. We've had some ugly ones in the regular season. And I think anytime you want to accomplish anything in this league, you got to be willing to go through the hard times and go through the hard parts of being an NBA player. And now that it's starting to click, it looks better and it's starting to roll, probably how people expected it, at least in the direction that people probably expected it. And we just got to keep building.
That's right. Keep building. The first journey of 1,000 miles takes one step, and the Bucks are doing that. Giannis chimes in on this one.
As we move on forward, game by game, we go, learn how to play with one another. Right now, we've won 4 in a row. So it's getting better. It's putting progress.
And I think he's being humble on this one because This is a really big win. And that's the thing about Giannis. He talks about not getting too high, not getting too low. And the man lives it. He really does. He knows it's just one game. He knows it's the regular season. He's not, getting overhyped because the roller coaster of the season is just that. And he doesn't want to do that to himself or his team. And I think it's really smart to kind of stay even keel. But us fans, man, we pump our fist in the air and we drink that champagne because we're a little nervous to see this start, but kind of like I've been saying the whole time, you got to give this time to gestate. And now we know what we have. And kind of reiterate, no Chris Middleton in this one. And the way he started the season, Jay Crowder, I mean, he's definitely missed. It's not something I thought I would have been saying, last year, because let's just be honest, last year Crowder was a bust. When he went out, he was leading the team in 3-point shooting percentage. He's playing, hustle ball up and down the floor. So we can stay healthy, man. We're going to be a dangerous team. And I really think it's important to talk about the coaching staff in this one. The modification of coaching strategies, too, was really impressive to me in this one. Coach Griff talks about that.
We had to, make some changes on the defensive end, kind of mix up or disrupt their rhythm a little bit. But then in the fourth quarter, we started making some changes. Try to disrupt their rhythm just a little bit, and it worked. And we were able to get stops and execute it at the other end. But, give them credit. Luka and Kyrie, Kyrie, he looked like Kyrie Irving. He was tough tonight.
And this is what we wanted as Bucks fans. A coach who makes in-game adjustments. Come playoff time, this is invaluable. There was something I noticed in this game, and it was a little bit of a cat and mouse going on. And that's why I really like watching the games. I was talking to my son about this when I was watching the game too, is a lot of people, their eyes are on the ball. They're watching where the ball is. But what I like to do is I like to kind of watch what's going on around the basket. And one of the things I noticed was, especially in the third quarter, you noticed this, when Dallas started torching us. I believe that, I don't have the data in front of me, but I believe it was like a 9-0 run before we even scored I think it was a free throw Giannis had to kind of stop the bleeding there. But Luka and Irving would kind of get around the free throw line and put up this little mid-range shot, and it was just automatic for both of them. So I noticed that coach took their 4s and 5s, and because Giannis wasn't in the game when this happened, I believe it was Bobby and Brooke, and he kind of brought them out. And towards the end of the third quarter, the Bucks started to tighten things up a little bit, and they took away that mid-range shot. And because the thing is, there aren't enough bigs to compete with the Bucks. I mean, you've got, obviously, who was on the Bucks roster. But I mean, not saying Dallas doesn't have any bigs, but to the level we have, there's just no, I'm sorry. You can't have that argument because we're way better down low than Dallas. Dallas is a shooting team, right? So force them to take up some bad shots. And they did, and they weren't going in. And that ultimately, you got to gamble and you got to give something up. And the Bucks did it. And man, was it great to watch. It really was. So this team is going where we think they were going to go. And Dame and Brooke both talk about that. We'll start with Dame.
I think we're still at the stage of the season where everybody's saying this could be special, or we building something special, and you don't find out until people start folding and people start breaking and start laying down. So we got to just, one game at a time, we got to keep building on what we've been doing.
It's something we've been figuring out more and more as games go by, and we got a great group of guys who are all bought in, smart group of guys, which is important. A lot of experience, a lot of basketball IQ, regular IQ, and it's all paying off. We were poor to start the season. We looked at that, saw we can change and learn from that. We keep getting better each and every game, and months from now we're going to be so much better than we are now. It's a great spot to be in.
So Bucks win this one over the Dallas Mavericks. Really impressive win, 132-125. And these are my Bucks right here, right? Bucks fans, we are at the top of the roller coaster right now. Every season it's up and down. And we know there's going to be a point where we're going to go back down. I mean, I hope we don't, but it's just the law of averages, right? But right now, sure does feel good with the Celtics on the horizon. Because let's just not lie. And I'm not going to get into this yet, but let's just not lie. Those teams with the big mouths, the Miami Heats, and I'm talking about the fan bases, the Miami Heats, the Boston Celtics, it just feels good. As a fan, it just feels good to beat them because, man, they're loud and they're obnoxious and they're arrogant. The final thought I have on this game is Pat Connaughton. Man, Okay, so I always have one Bucks player where I'm kind of like, I mumble under my breath when I'm watching the game. And I'm sure you guys have that player for you too. But for me, it's been Pat Connaughton. He's been getting a lot of minutes, and there have been a lot of moments where he is, wide open for three and he misses. But I've noticed the last few games, he is doing a really good job of getting good looks and making really good passes, So when he hit those 2 threes, I just started apologizing to him. I'm by myself on the couch apologizing to Pat. He can't hear me. I'm insane. But we all talk to the TV, right? It's not just me. I know the really passionate fans talk to the TV. It's funny, though, when you think about it. But, Beasley cooled off in this one. He was 1 for 6 from 3, but he was out the last 2 games. We had previously beaten the Charlotte Hornets. And not even mentioned that game. We beat the snot out of them. We're 2-0 in tournament play. And for tournament play, the Bucks have the Washington Wizards and the Miami Heat coming up. And then they can hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully clean out B4-0 and see what they can do to get to Vegas. If they go to Vegas, I'm probably going to go. So I really hope they make it. 6 players in double figures for the Bucks. And finishing up on Pat, he played the last 20 minutes of the game. He finished plus 22. Really good effort. 45%, we'll call it. 44%, 4 from 9 from 3, 50% from the field. There's a lot of things he did, though, that are not going to show up in the box score. Cameron Payne, some really big minutes. AJ Green coming in. And that is a guy I've always been a big advocate for. In a game like this where you need points, it's so good to have an AJ Green, a well-rested AJ Green on the bench, man. Just phenomenal roster. I love this team. Andrew Jackson Jr., not such a good night. He gets the start, minus 11, no points. He's a young buck. He's going to learn. So I'm really, really impressed with this game. Last thing on this game, Giannis's press conference was gold. I'm going to play a quote that because, Giannis, he's the cheesy dad with the cheesy jokes. Obviously don't want him coming down the lane at me because I'd crap my pants, but he's a cornball. And I'm going to set this quote up first. So Giannis was talking about how they're 13 games in and there's a lot of season left. And then he realized how many games were left. And I had to chuckle at this one.
What's the game today? 13. Man, come on, man. We got 69 more games. Yep. 69. I like that number. 69, huh? Damn.
Yeah. And I'm laughing my ass off watching this press conference. And that you could tell the media was like, nope, not going there. We're not talking about 69. Nope. Just the awkward looks. I wish I had a POV of Giannis's view because those reporters got quiet. What a cornball. Pretty funny stuff. So Bucks win this one. Great win. Every game they've improved since our fall down against the Orlando Magic. And now we're going to talk about the national media, specifically the people over at NBA Today on ESPN, specifically Brian Windhorst. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to record. Well, it's probably too late now because the Bucks are really picking up their game, but record what they're saying now. And then let's go into April and let's go into May and let's go into hopefully June and take the comments of what they're saying now and compare it to what the Bucks are doing at that time. Because as a fan, and this is a fan podcast. I'm not a professional journalist. I have radio experience and whatnot, but this is from a fan perspective. So I think I get to say this one. I cannot wait for them to eat crow. I cannot wait for it. When I watch these shows, it just pisses me off when they're, throwing shit on the Bucks. Have they not looked at our roster? Do they not see who our starting 5 is? Do they not see who our bench is? Is it because we don't have the Boston Celtics green or the Philadelphia 76ers colors or the Miami Heat colors that they're not giving us that respect? It's because we're in a small market and it's bullshit. And I'm sick of it. As a fan, I'm tired of it. The Brewers get that too. I'm going to specifically have a podcast, maybe during the All-Star break, where I talk about Milwaukee, because a lot of people hear Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they roll their eyes. Oh God, Milwaukee. But you know what? Have you spent some time here? And this is for the national media. Have you been to the 3rd Ward? Have you been to Brady Street? Have you been to Lakefront Brewery, Pabst District, Milwaukee Art Museum, Harley Davidson Museum, Milwaukee Public Market? You probably haven't. And I do this, I'm a filmmaker, and I do this all the time. People will criticize something that they haven't seen, they haven't experienced. And to me, their intelligence is so low. How can you talk shit about something that you have no experience with. So cut it out. First of all, national media. Our city's not that small. If you compare anything to New York and LA, yeah, it's small. But the Milwaukee Metro is 2 million people. So, I mean, it's not like it's tiny, okay? It's not like it's a small town in rural United States here, okay? So let's cut that part of it out. The other part is the MVPs, okay? So the NBA has this Kia MVP thing where they talk about the MVP ladder and they rank the top 10 players, okay? And honestly, don't know how this is formulated, but I'm assuming it's from the national media. I don't actually know though, so don't quote me on that. So they have Jokic at 1, Luka at 2, Joel at 3, okay? Rounding out the top 10, no Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not in the top 10. They have Bam Adebayo, for Christ's sake, at 9th. And that guy's a fraud. He's at 9th. Seeing the most recent performances of Giannis, okay, yeah, the Bucks had a crappy start. Fine, they did. Giannis did too. Dame did too. We started slow. But to not have him in the top 10, like, are you serious? This is freaking madness. He's averaging 29.2 a game. He's almost 60% from the field on the season. He's averaging 10 rebounds a game. Dude is not in the top 10. Huh? What? Look me in the eye and tell me if Giannis is on any of those big city teams. You tell me he's not in the top 10 right now. I'll tell you you're full of shit. So this is what I'm talking about the hate in Milwaukee. And they're not looking at the talent on the floor. They're looking at the freaking city that they're residing from. And this is just really upsetting. Do better. National media, do better. The thing is, cities are personal for people who care about them, right? If you don't care about Milwaukee, you're laughing at me right now, and that's fine. But if you have love for a city, like some people have love for a city like they do for a person or like an animal. And I have love like that for Milwaukee. So I'm not saying you can't criticize it. There's a lot to criticize in Milwaukee. Trust me, there is. I mean, they have Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo on the same team. 2 top 75 players of all time on the same team. And they're getting shade. So Bucks shut them up. I mean, they win 4 straight. They beat a really good Dallas team. Can't wait to hear what they have to say tomorrow. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. To kind of circle all this back, that's why this win last night against Dallas is so gratifying as a Bucks fan. Because you've got the national media taking a dump on us. Like, Giannis is not in the top 10 for MVPs. And when we look at some of the people's numbers in there, come on, Giannis is better. I mean, you know, obviously the top of the list, there's definitely some really good arguments to be made. I mean, Jokic, like I said, Luka, number 2. I mean, we smoked him. And I want to actually point out something. There was a moment in the game last night when Luka hit a shot, mid-range shot, and the camera zoomed in on him, and he said, I could read his lips. He said, all day, baby, all day. After that, the Bucks go on a 16-3 run, win the game. Karma, instant karma, Luka. They have Tatum as number 4. I mean, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton deserves to be on this list. Tyrese Maxey's having a really good season. He deserves to be on this list. But Bam Adebayo, I mean, come on, really? Let's look up Bam's stats for the year right now while we're on this podcast, because I'm not a betting man, but I'm willing to bet you that Giannis is doing, yeah. So Bam has 22 points. He's averaging 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Giannis's numbers are better. But yet, you know, Bam is in the top 10 and Giannis isn't. I also think sports writers get sick of a player being good. And I don't think it's fair that Giannis has been so good for so long. They're just kind of used to it. But when you compare him to the rest of the NBA, I'm sorry, he's top 5 for MVP. Like, quite frankly, if I'm Giannis, I'm playing angry from here on out. And they have 5 more listed alphabetically. So he is in the top 15. They have Damian Lillard's in there too, with Giannis, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Donovan Mitchell. So whatever. I mean, the NBA elite media is going to do what they're going to do. But as long as the Bucks keep winning, I'm happy. And I'm sure you are too. Bucks on Monday have the Washington Wizards. And then on Wednesday is the Boston Celtics on the road at the Garden, hostile environment. It's a really good test for the Bucks early in the season here. So this game is not anything else but a regular season NBA game. If the Bucks win, I'll be happy. If the Bucks lose, I'll be upset. But it's a game. And after seeing how the Bucks played tonight, I was a little nervous because The Celtics lately have had our number. I mean, they had us in the 7-game series that they won 2 years ago. And then on Christmas Day last year was one you wanted to turn off in the fourth quarter. It's pretty awful. So I think the Bucks have a chip on their shoulder, seeing how they started slow. They're being completely disrespected in the media. They're not being talked about, which quite frankly, like I said in the last podcast, probably did them a favor having a slow start. They took a little bit of pressure off of them. I mean, Bucks moved down to plus 420. Celtics are plus 370. So the Bucks aren't the favorites anymore. And I quite frankly think that's great. The main difference I see between the Bucks and the Celtics is the bench. I mean, they're 1 through 5s. Like, they kind of just equal each other out for the most part. I mean, I do think the Bucks 5 is better, but I'm biased. But I think, you know, when you look at the wings, Celtics might have an advantage there. I mean, the 1-2 punch they have. But I mean, if we have a healthy Chris Middleton, we're right there. And then 4 and 5, I mean, we have better 4s and 5s than they do. The Celtics were so excited to sign Porzingis as their 5. Giannis has averaged 38.2 points a game against Porzingis the last 6 years, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's in 5 games going back to 2018. But Giannis has been his father. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. We'll see how good the Boston Celtics are. Because right now, seeing what I'm seeing and, you know, just the box scores is all I'm looking at because I can only watch one game at a time and I'm watching the Bucks. But the box score, I mean, they just snuck by Toronto. Bucks just stomped Toronto, by the way. So Bucks have the momentum right now. Hopefully they can continue it on Monday, take that into the Garden on Wednesday, and we'll see you next week. We're going to be coming up. I'll have a show next week. Hopefully it's a feel-good Thursday. Look for it mid-morning Thursday. That's going to be our next podcast. I appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening.